All right. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from wherever you are tuned us from. My name is Lucy Wanjiko, and I take this time to welcome you to our first webinar this year. On behalf of Wild Animal Protection, I extend this special invite and welcome to you. Today's topic is trading to extinction, just coming a day before World Wildlife Day, which is celebrated tomorrow. Thank you for taking time to be with us. I promise you that we will make it worth the while. I can see we have people from all across. I have noted we have Philippines, we have Uganda, we have South Africa, we have Canada, and I'm sure many more will join us. So feel at home here as we delve into this conversation. But before we do that, we'll have a poll. We will project a poll and you'll take the poll, and after that, I'll share the poll on my screen. Thank you. Please take the poll. We have the first question on the screen. Trading animals as commodity is not necessary. Just choose one. The first one is I agree, I disagree, I have no opinion. Select one choice. As we do that, let's have the next question, please. Thank you. That's the end of the poll. Thank you. I'll be sharing the polls at some time into the webinar. Okay, we have the opening poll. Second question now is up on the screen. And is on trophy hunting. Trophy hunting is inhumane and serves no conservation purpose. A single choice again. Please pick one. We'll be sharing the poll results towards the end of the webinar. I hope you have taken the poll 1 and poll 2, so we can now begin. As we start, remember to join our movement. That is people working together to make a world a better place for animals. You can join us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Yes, we are now on LinkedIn, so please, you can join us there. And we will have our Twitter handles and social media handles on our comment section. So they'll be put up there. Remember to type in your question on the Q&A. And should you have any comments, suggestions, please just type them on the chat. We will endeavor to respond to all questions and chats at the end of the presentation. Small housekeeping for journalists and the press on this call. We will have a special 15 minutes for one-on-one dedicated time with our panelists. So please, if you have a question or you want a B-roll or you want a special interview or a soundbite with our panelists, we will have that section, 15 minutes at the end of the webinar, specially dedicated to journalists who want to have a chat with them. So please stay on the line after the main presentation. And remember to type your Q&A, any question you have, any suggestions, and also tell us where you are joining us from at the comments section. I'll be sampling some of those comments and some of the locations that are presented here on the webinar at the end of the webinar. Please type in where you are joining us from. We'd love to hear from you. Also remember to indicate your name and the email address so that you can receive the presentations after this webinar. Just to mention that we are also live on Facebook and live on our YouTube page. So if you have people who are not able to join through the Zoom, you can also request them to join us on YouTube or Facebook. We are live on those two channels. All right. Now, tomorrow is Thursday, March 3rd, which marks the World Wildlife Day, a day to celebrate and raise awareness of the world's wild animals and plants. This year's theme is recovering key species for ecosystem restoration. That is recovering key species for ecosystem restoration. These celebrations will seek to draw attention to the conservation status of some of the most critically endangered species of wild fauna and flora, and to drive discussions towards imagining and implementing solutions to conserve them. All conversations in this webinar today will be inspired by and seek to inform efforts towards the achievement of UN Sustainable Development Goals. Here in Africa and globally, wild animals suffer immensely through people's actions, and their numbers in the world have been plummeting. Part of it is as a result of global wildlife trade, which Wild Animal Protection is passionate about and is campaigning against. Ahead of this significant day, here at Wild Animal Protection, we have decided to look at this problem, that is global wildlife trade. We are looking at this problem today. We are measuring the progress and having conversation on the progress we have made, and really looking for solutions on what's to be done, what needs to be done to end this cruelty. My passion to you is as we engage, let's have discussions, open discussions on what we need to do as people, as supporters, as people who are passionate about preserving our wildlife and ensuring that generations share and enjoy the future just as we did. With us today are two panelists. Today we have a special webinar. We are moving from what we have done before, because for the first time we have two panelists, Dr. Patrick Muinde, who is Wild Animal Protection's research manager based in Africa. He is a veterinary doctor and a research expert by professional with years of experience in research and hands-on work. Patrick Muinde is joining us from here, Nairobi, Kenya, and he leads our research docket. Joining us from Kampala is our sister, Edith Kavesime, who is our wildlife campaigns manager. She's a seasoned expert in wildlife and wildlife conservation. You will find a few wildlife around her home just to showcase how passionate she is in the work that she does. Please help me welcome our two panelists, Dr. Patrick Muinde and Edith, to kick us off with the presentation. We will start with Dr. Muinde. Over to you.
Thank you, Lucy, for that introduction. As you rightly put it, tomorrow is World Wildlife Day. It's a big day in the continent and also globally, because it's a day that we use to create awareness and to promote wildlife conservation. Just a minute, working to, yeah, so we'll be talking where we are currently in terms of wildlife conservation. As you know, we have been advocating for protection of animals for quite some long time. And what drives us is the current situation that we are globally. We have seen wildlife being exploited in a number of ways. People are keeping wildlife at homes. Others are keeping trophies in their homes, being hung on their walls or used as mats. And of course, we have seen people going to wildlife conservancies, going to wildlife habitats to hunt and kill animals just for prestige. So those are some of the key things which are threatening wildlife at the moment. And today we'll be talking about trading to extinction. Trading basically are activities that are involved in buying and selling of goods and services. And extinction, as you all know, is gone and gone forever. Is where you have the last member of a given species dies. For example, you have read stories about dinosaurs, which used to be here, mammoths, and even other species which are no longer in this world. So those are some of the key things that we'll be talking today with my colleague Edith. Starting from who we are World Animal Protection, and our mission is we move the world to protect animals, and our vision is a world where animals live free from cruelty and suffering. We move the world to protect animals with physical offices in 15 countries, but active in more than 50 countries globally. We work with business entities, corporates, governments to help people come up with practical ways to prevent animal suffering and cruelty. And currently, we're working to deliver on our new strategy, which is spanning from 2021 to 2030, where we are looking at two key goals. First one, to ensure that farmed animals live good lives. And we will only achieve that if we transform the current global food systems. The other goal is to stop wild animals exploitation. And basically, to stop that, we have to view animals in another angle, not just as commodities. And we'll do that by changing systems that allow that exploitation. To start with, globally, almost half of the world's population is in social media. It's key to highlight that because it's in social media where buyers meet sellers. It's in social media where people look for information on how or where to buy a wild animal or its derivative. And this is expanding as internet connectivity expands, as population expands. We expect social media users to grow equally. Global estimates of wildlife trade is estimated to be up to $42 billion annually, of which majority of that is illegal. And Africa is home to world's most iconic species. When you talk about elephants, lions, buffaloes, you'll find them in Africa. And equally, when you talk of species that we call them less charismatic, for example, scorpions, tortoises, you also find them in plenty in Africa. And equally, we have rich ecosystems. We have coastal environments, we have savanna grasslands, we have tropical forests, we have rich marine environments and all that. So Africa is heritage to wildlife as well as their habitats. But equally, trade of wild animals and their derivatives is happening at scale. For example, up to 1.6 trillion wild animals are killed and suffer from people's actions every year. We looked at CITES data between 2011 to 2015. We looked at CITES data between 2011 to 2015, and we were able to find that 1.2 million skins. And in this case, we presumed each skin presented an individual animals were traded just to be used as mats or to be hung on a wall or those kind of, or to be used as a covers for covers for seats. And again, 1.5 million live animals were legally exported for exotic pet trade. When we talk about exotic pets, these are animals which have not been domesticated before, and therefore they still have those wild characteristics. This is just a snapshot of our findings, which highlights Africa's most traded species for exotic pet market. In this data of 2011 to 2015, we found that ball python was the most traded species, with up to more than 500,000 snakes traded, most of them coming from wildlife and ranching facilities. Then that was followed by African grey parrot, which is the most traded bird. And again, most of it came from captivity. There's a lot of breeding of African grey parrots in South Africa. But again, wildlife was also a major source. For example, in Congo, where poaching cases have been reported. Of course, you'll find other species like emperor scorpion, in which most of it was sourced from the wild, leopard tortoise, and savanna monitor lizards. These are top 5 species that are traded from Africa to supply exotic pet market. As an organization, we developed this map. Basically, this is a global wildlife trade map, and it shows how different wildlife species are being moved from one location to another. And basically, we are shipping animals every day to everywhere. We are shipping animals to totally new environmental niche. And this is an indicator that every single day, dozens of animals are poached or are farmed to supply this global multi-billion industry. And this is not only cruel, but also it impacts on the animals themselves, but also it is dangerous and devastating to our people and environment. Looking at some of the key drivers of the trade, when you look at important countries, their beliefs in medicinal and health values. There is a big demand for traditional Chinese medicine currently, and animal parts are being used to feed that industry. If you talk about lion bones, pangolin scales, rhino horns, and many other species are being killed to supply that market. There's affirmation of status. People are keeping exotic pets at home because they feel it's fancy. They feel they'll be associated with a given class when they showcase themselves taking care of an animal in their homes. Then online marketing, which I talked about. We are posting a lot of video interacting with animals in not so good way in social media. And those who visit those sites, they think it's fancy and they go to look for one to keep at home. Trophy hunting is another big issue. People are coming to Africa to pay thousands of dollars so that they can be able to kill an elephant, a lion, or any other animal. Then there's opportunistic buying and gift giving, which is quite common. You just pass across, you saw an animal, then you buy to keep it at home. Then looking at exporting countries, which basically is Africa. Criminal cartels to finance illegal activities is happening. For example, those who follow news recently, there's a rebel group in Congo, which basically held one of the endangered species of pangolin, and it's demanding a ransom to be given some money so that they are able to release that endangered pangolin species. So that is happening. It's the first time an animal is being held ransom, and a group is asking for money to release it to the world. And again, income generation. African countries are seeing wildlife trade as a source of revenue, and that is sustaining trade to go on. Then unstable governments, corruption, which is big in Africa and also in some other parts of the world. When you are importing or exporting, you corrupt papers and all that. There's lack of alternative economic opportunities. And again, challenges in law enforcement. We have some very good laws, but to enforce them is a challenge on our side. Basically, this slide is to show different categories or different ways in which these animals are traded to. For example, on your top left, that is a skull of lion. As I mentioned, lions are killed to supply high demand of lion bones for traditional Chinese medicine. Then the photo below that is African grey pearl. I mean, it's a pangolin, which basically is being prepared for scales extraction. Again, those scales are used for traditional Asian medicine. On top right, that's an example of African grey parrot in captivity in somebody's home. You can see how it has plucked off its feathers. First, because it's stressed. Second, because you cannot meet you cannot meet the needs of that bird. In the world, it feeds on variety of fruits and seeds, but when you bring it home, you are not able to provide that. So many times these birds suffer from hypocalcemia, they develop weak bones, and many other conditions associated with poor nutrition. The last photo is a photo of ball python. This is a morph of ball python, which has been genetically modified, but the parent stock comes from Africa, predominantly West Africa, where they export and earn just a few dollars, but when it gets to destination countries like US, you get thousands of US dollars. So this is just an example of how crazy people have become and how they are misusing wildlife. The key question is, why is this trade an issue? Are there some things which you need to discuss and to highlight to show why this trade is an issue? We start with conservation. Wildlife trade really threatens conservation. First, because we lack scientific data on wildlife population. We don't know the number of some species that are left in the world. The population is unknown, or either it's declining, and again, conservation status is not known. Therefore, you can keep on harvesting these animals from the world up to a point where you will not have any left. For example, I can use the example of ball pythons. They are they are poached, and we don't know the current status of wildlife population of those snakes in the world. Then one might argue most of the source is ranching systems or ranching facilities. But we ought to remember that these ranches are sustained by wild-sourced animals for breeding stock. The ranches go for pregnant females,